Rain tapped steadily on the tin roof of Mateo's workshop, a thin metallic rhythm that blended with the faint ticking of cooling engines. The place sat at the edge of a quiet street where people only stopped when something was broken. Machines, plans, or sometimes luck. Mateo worked alone, sleeves rolled, hands darkened by grease that never fully washed away. He didn't mind. Machines spoke clearly, people rarely did. The motorcycle arrived with a tired cough, rolling in under its own fading dignity before falling silent near the entrance. Mateo didn't look up immediately. He tightened one last screw on a dismantled generator, then reached for his rag. "Engine sounds offended," he said calmly. "Or you wrote it like it insulted your family." A woman removed her helmet. Her posture was poised, but the rain softened her presence, leaving her looking less like someone important and more like someone stranded. "It stopped without warning," she said. "I don't know what happened." Mateo crouched beside the motorcycle. He listened first, a habit learned from years of working with machines that told their stories through vibration and silence. His fingers traced the fuel line, checked the mount, nudged a loose bolt with gentle precision. "She tried to warn you," he murmured. "Clogged fuel line. Mount shook loose. Happens when maintenance gets delayed." "You can tell all that just by listening?" she asked. "Machines don't lie," he replied. "They just whisper." Inside the shop, the air smelled of oil, metal, and damp concrete. Tools hung neatly, though many were old. Parts rested on shelves like survivors of forgotten repairs. Mateo worked without rush, movement steady and deliberate. He cleaned the line, tightened the mount, adjusted the idle. The woman watched quietly, noticing the care he gave each step. There was no performance in his work, only attention. "You didn't ask how much I can pay," she said after a while. Mateo shrugged. "If it runs, we talk price. If it doesn't, money won't help." Within an hour, the engine roared back to life, smooth, confident, almost grateful. Mateo wiped his hands and named a modest price. She hesitated. "That's all?" "That's what it cost," he answered simply. She handed him the money, studying him with quiet curiosity, as if trying to understand a language she rarely encountered. "What's your name?" she asked. "Mateo. I'm Elena." The rain softened as she rode away, leaving behind the faint echo of an engine reborn. Mateo returned to his bench, unaware the motorcycle was worth more than his entire shop. And its owner far more than that. Mateo was aligning a stubborn carburetor when Elena returned. This time there was no rain, only a clear morning light that slipped through the workshop doorway and settled over the worn concrete floor. He noticed first that the motorcycle outside ran perfectly. No hesitation in the engine, no imbalance in its idle. "Everything okay?" he asked, straightening up. "Yes," Elena replied softly. "That's why I came." She stepped inside with unhurried curiosity, as if seeing the place more clearly than before. Her eyes moved across the shelves of salvaged parts, the carefully arranged tools, the patched roof that bore quiet witness to years of repair and resilience. "You work alone?" she asked. Mateo nodded. "Fewer opinions that way." She smiled faintly, but there was thoughtfulness behind it, a quiet weight. "You didn't recognize me," she said after a pause. Mateo shook his head. "Should I have?" Elena removed her gloves and set them gently on the workbench. "I own the company that manufactures that motorcycle." For a moment, the workshop felt too small for the words that had just been spoken. Mateo blinked, unsure whether to laugh. "You're serious?" "I am." She explained without flourish. Factories, executives, endless meetings, decisions that affected thousands of workers. Wealth that grew faster than meaning. She had been riding alone that day simply to feel ordinary, if only for an hour. "And you treated me like anyone else," she said. "You fixed what was broken. You charged what was fair. You didn't try to impress me." Mateo rested his hands on the edge of the workbench, absorbing the idea. "That's just work," he said quietly. Elena looked at him with gentle certainty. "It's character." From her bag, she removed a folder and placed it in front of him. Inside were plans, architectural sketches, funding agreements, training proposals. "I want to rebuild this workshop," she said. "Modern equipment, a training program for young mechanics who can't afford school. You would lead it, everything funded." Matteo turned the pages slowly, as though the paper itself might vanish if handled too quickly. Years of struggle flickered through his thoughts. Nights patching the roof, days with no customers, moments when fairness felt like a luxury. "Why me?" he asked. Elena met his gaze steadily. "Because kindness without expectation is rare, and you gave it freely." Silence settled between them, not heavy, but meaningful. Matteo closed the folder carefully. "I'll accept," he said, "if it stays a place where no one is turned away for being poor." Relief softened Elena's expression. "That's exactly why I chose you." Months later, the workshop transformed. Bright lights replaced shadows. Apprentices filled the space with energy and questions. Yet Matteo remained the same, listening first, fixing what could be fixed, charging only what was fair. And Elena returned often, sometimes with business matters.